Hello and welcome to Comic Solving Problems. I'm Stephen Allen.
And I'm Eric McElroy. Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome along to your comedy streaming show. Half an hour of entertainment where we solve some problems in a week that's had many problems in the news. Although some of them are solving themselves, like the news that Britney Spears got engaged. So that just goes to show how nice things are starting to be. I mean, I don't know whether her partner got down on one knee. I don't know how traditional they were. It's a safe bet that they didn't ask the father's permission. Are you going to give her away? What, at the wedding? No, just give her away. So we'll maybe more on that story. We'll see as we go through the stories. You can get involved. You can get in the chat. The thing that's at the bottom of here is the YouTube way of watching it. Yep. There are many ways of seeing the stream, but if you watch it on the YouTube, it's better for us because we can actually see the chat and comments and things that you message, get stuck into that. Later on, we'll talk about the fact that you can continue to support this entertainment feature by chucking some money in the Ko-fi pot.
Why did you say entertainment like that?
I don't really know what to call it. It's a thing, isn't it? It's streaming. It's who knows what it is. But
it's the real news. It's the truth right here.
Start saying things like that and YouTube will take you down. That's the problem. That's the problem with that. So hopefully get stuck involved with the chat and spread the word. The link that you can find, you can actually just send that link actually and people can watch us because we're ready to go with some streaming comedy entertainment. Sling us to your TV and let's see what happens. I think we're all sat and facing the right direction. Yep. So it's time to say, Mr. Eric McElroy, what have you got for us?
Steve, this is a problem. And it's the problem of celebrating failure.
Oh.
Yeah, it's something that you and I both know quite a bit about. Yeah. I'll say I know more at the moment since you're the one on national television and I'm still, this is the high point of my career every week.
Yeah,
but
give me 6 weeks and I'll be back to that level of failure.
Yeah, I know. But right now, whatever. But I'm good at it. You know, I'm at a point in life where this is the high point and I'm happy with that. I'm not as good as some people who were part of the former Confederacy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with their work, but they lost something called the American Civil War.
Never heard of it.
Don't know if you're up on that. Yeah. But even though they lost, there are still hundreds of monuments in the United States and even U.S. military bases named after the leaders and generals of the Confederacy that fought against the United States. I suppose a similar thing would be like naming an RAF base here in England after George Washington because of the work that they did in the American Revolutionary War. The RAF was, I think one of the reasons why you lost the U.S. War for Independence was because of the lack of success from the Royal Air Force in 1776.
If we have had greater air superiority, yeah, we would have won. Yeah,
they didn't pull anything. They did very little. I would say they weren't even a factor. But we can see what's been happening with these memorabilia towards the U.S. Confederacy, with what happened just recently to a statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. Shocking, Steve. Shocking. This is cancel culture gone mad. You can see where I'm going for now. I want to get on certain channels here in the UK because I heard there's an opening on the 7 o'clock slot since Andrew Neil stood down. They just want to cancel someone who what was his crime? What was General Robert E. Lee's crime fighting for the Confederacy? He just wanted to cancel the United States. What is happening to America? But it's just shocking. But the crowd that's there watching this happen, they were singing one of the more famous songs from the Civil War period. Classic. It's a classic world Civil War song. We all know it. That's what they sang. But I know some of you might not know what Robert E. Lee is famous for. So for that, of course, we go to Wikipedia, because where else do you get information these days? And Robert E. Lee, he was the lead general of the Confederate Army, and he was also significantly known for surrendering at the end of that war. So he's basically the one who led the Confederacy in its defeat. He was the best loser general they had.
So you're saying if it wasn't for him, there might not have been a United States by
It could have been the end of the United States if he had won, but he lost the conflict.
He didn't lose it. He quit. So him quitting made the United States what it is. Put that horse back.
That's fair. That's true. You could make that case for him, even though he was defending slavery.
But badly.
But
thank God he did it badly.
Very badly. Maybe it was intentional.
Took a dive in the first.
To be fair, I didn't read beyond the first paragraph of Wikipedia, so I can't remember.
If it doesn't say that on Wikipedia now, it will do after we've finished the show and I log on.
Yeah, definitely. But knowing that he lost and knowing that he was fighting against the United States, of course, Donald Trump is a big admirer, as we can see here.
New this morning, former President Trump denouncing the removal of the towering statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee in Richmond yesterday.
Yes, it turns out Make America Great Again meant the Confederacy. That's what he was talking about all along. It is so easy to get those two things mixed up, especially when you're a white supremacist. But what kind of things does Trump admire for the general of the army who fought for the Confederacy against the United States?
In addition to referring to the Confederate general as a, quote, unifying force.
Yes, he was a unifying force as he fought against America, much like Osama bin Laden helped unify the U.S. after 9/11.
Yeah.
They both were bringing people together, which is something that doesn't happen very often these days. And what else does Donnie think about the prospects of General Lee, who, remember, he's the general who lost the war?
He also said, if we only had Robert E. Lee to command our troops in Afghanistan, that disaster would have ended in a complete and total victory many years ago.
That's right. Many years ago, it would have been a total victory for the Taliban. Before now, they wouldn't have had to wait because, again, they're both fighting against the United States. Now, the thing is, when I was a kid, we did learn about the Civil War, but back then, I mean, there's been an interesting spin campaign about these leaders and about the South and what it stood for. It wasn't fighting against America. It wasn't fighting to keep people enslaved. They were just some misunderstood dudes who were fighting for states' rights and individual freedom. And even when I was a kid, like there were books in my library in the United States, the country that won that war, that had books about General Grant, who was the winning general, and then that kind of criticized him, made him look like he wasn't that great of a general, wasn't that good of a president. And then I remember reading the book about Robert E. Lee, and it made him seem kind of all right, just a little bit off base, just unlucky, right? And it's fascinating watching this happen now when we're really having an examination about race relations in America, about the way history's been put forward, about whether or not maybe there was some white privilege involved somewhere along the way. And so, I thought, I'm looking back at this and the history that I learned, and I tweeted about it. Actually, when I saw the statue come down, I sent this tweet here about the fact that when I was a kid, I got the book about Robert E. Lee from the library. I was a history geek. I read it. And the spin was basically just a general with bad luck. It's been a propaganda campaign to make the South look good for a long time. And just to prove to you what a history geek I am, I still have one of my history books from when I was a kid in 1984, which don't figure out how old I was based on that. But this is the National Geographic book. It's the history of America. It's a big book, obviously. A lot of history there.
It's a chapter a month. That's how new you are as a nation.
It's very, very big. And I studied Robert E. Lee in this book. You can see that's the page about Robert E. Lee.
Mainly photographs. I wondered how they padded it out.
Well, the thing is, he's got a one-page spread. I remember some Playboy Playmates of the Month that didn't get that much coverage. It's not really making him look like, you can see there, his manner, oh, we loved you, sir, we're fantastic. And he is put across as this noble figure. That's what we were sort of shown in the 1980s when I was in school. Now, that tweet that I sent out was actually, because it wasn't really a comedic tweet, it was more, coming to reconcile what's happening in the United States at this moment. It was actually picked up by the media. So not bad, right? Maybe I'm not such a loser after all. It said comedian Erich McElroy took to Twitter to delight in the news, and it quoted my tweet right there. I thought, wow, look at that. I'm a player.
Yeah.
I'm an influencer. I might not be on Dave, but at least here I am having an impact on the national discourse about a story that is of significance. And you know what organization picked up my tweet? It was Russia Today. So there you go. My tweet about propaganda was picked up by state propaganda.
Wow.
I would imagine Donald Trump was a little bit jealous.
That's some good stuff, though. You see, look, you do this show, and the next thing, we're the go-to people. We're quoted
for
left,
Russia
right,
Today.
Center.
For Russia Today.
Yeah, I didn't. I've not loaded it in, but you can find it on both my TikTok and my Twitter. It's not quite the same as being quoted about a political news story, but Channel 5 did a show about Jennifer, someone in Dancing on Ice, kicking herself in the head, and she did a scorpion kick, and the blade went in a fontanelle point. And they included a tweet that I did about it years ago. Or I think the joke was, "Oof, Jennifer needed that like a hole in the oops." So it's a classic Steve joke, isn't it? In fact, I think almost the same joke happens later on in one of my sections. It's amazing how I don't really change.
But Channel 5, though, that's not state propaganda against the destruction of your home country, is it?
Not yet.
Not
yet. Mainstream media.
Close. Just wait. Just wait.
I love firstly, I love the idea of you saying America won the Civil War. I mean, the thing about winning a civil war, naming the country that wins a civil war feels like you don't really have many options.
Yeah, but they chose a different name, so it couldn't be them.
It was always going to be that, whatever that country ended up being called. It's like there's no point in putting money on a civil war. You know who's going to win, one way or another. What was the other things? I wanted the phrase "Unluck E. Lee" might be, because they said it was all bad fortune by Robert E. Lee. Unlucky Lee.
Isn't the name?
That should have been his nickname. I don't know why they didn't ask me back in the day. And you comparing him to a Playboy like Playmate because of the page and a half spread. He also had a lot of men down south. Something like that. There's a joke that you could have done. Who knows? Who knows what it could have been?
I thought of that joke, but I thought
better not do
I won't do it. I didn't think of that joke. But right, let's dip into the comments here and say hello to everyone. Good evening and welcome to the show. Let's just scroll back up here. Martin says, boom, I'm back, but by less popular demand than Late Night MASH. So
that is quite a lack of...
That's a bit harsh. Tom says evening. Jack says howdy. We've got good evenings. Hellos, everyone. Someone says it's better than it's... Chris says, thank Christ it's Wednesday. Which we're on Tuesday. We used to move around a lot on the days, but now we're on Tuesdays forever. Chris Hood says, beware of singing bovines. I'm not sure what that's
because
about.
I tweeted a picture of something that's coming up later on the show. It's a picture of a cow, and there's some talk that it might be singing. I'm not going to say whether it's singing or not yet. You'll have to find out. But please don't go. It's not singing.
God, it's going to sing. Britt says, don't worry about singing bovines. I'm sure it will be music to our ears.
Good. Should have thought of that one. All right.
I saw it right that well. And then she said, boom, boom. Mark says, that was utterly predictable. You're not even talking about my story. You're talking about Steve's photo. I crafted the Robert E. Lee. I'm doing social commentary. RT picked me up, and you... Oh, dear God. Charlotte says, hi, everyone. First night, I'm back. Welcome back, Charlotte. Very nice. I'm afraid there is singing coming. I haven't seen it, but I'm going to...
You don't know if it's singing. I've not even said if it's singing. Right. Everyone's just thinking it's singing.
She's saying, please no. People are saying evening to Charlotte. Chris Curling says, so does this mean that the Dukes of Hazzard will have to change the name of their car? I think it does. However, the governess Trump doesn't quite cut it.
I'm just going to jump inside the governess Trump.
I'm sure that Trump has said that. Britt says, don't worry. I'm sure that the singing will be the best you've ever heard. Well, on Comic Solving Problems, that is.
Oh, how very dare. Some of the Dolly Parton work was excellent, according to me.
Now, Jack says, so we're Bananarama fans of Robert E. Lee. What song would that be in reference to? You're going to be our musical reference.
Yeah. What's the banana? I'm only thinking of Robert De Niro's Waiting, Talking Italian. That's the Robert link. What's the E. Lee part?
I don't know. I mean, if it's not John Denver, I don't know.
True. Was he guilty? Guilty
Bob
in the first degree?
John Denver. One of those. Phil Collins. Chris says, good stuff, Eric. International fame. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. I'll take that. Now it's back on me. That's what I want. Britt says, Eric had bumped Trump on the propaganda front. LOL. Yeah, that's my point. I'm doing better than he is these days. Unfortunate E. Lee, says Mark.
Good.
Yeah. Well, Ulysses S. Grant, the general and the president, the S he just added in there so that he could be called U.S. Grant.
Nice. People who...
Branding in 1865 was just as important as it is now.
People who put initials in the middle of their name just for the stage name version.
Well, actually, what it was is it was a typo when he signed up for his Twitter account, and he had to keep it. Because they had Twitter back then. It was based on carrier pigeons, but don't fondle your N.
Won't scratch off.
Martin says Civil War was always going to end as States of America.
Yeah.
Going to your point. Yeah, it's going to be the Confederate States of America or the United States of America. So,
See what I mean?
Fair enough.
That's why I put
I'm glad.
on it.
I think my side was good. I say my side. I wasn't there. Martin says, and look at the state of America is in now. Yeah, it's going great. Trump made it that way. Alan says, sorry, who's Eric MC Avoid? Eric McEvoid. Who's Eric McEvoid? McEvoid.
I don't really get the joke either, but it's kind of about your name, so it's funny.
I think it's about my name. Mark says, could the Bananarama song be I Heard a Moomer?
I mean, normally the terrible puns are at the end of the show after the second stories.
Yeah, this is a little early for pun, guys. You've pulled the pun gag, puns too early. The pun gun.
But keep the comments coming through. I'll pop up the URL for any contributions to keep this project afloat. Share the link to get people interacting in the comment section and watching this as we continue to solve problems with your streaming little comedy show thing. Are we ready for the next one?
Yes.
So I want to solve the problem of, I guess, climate change. Solve that one. Let's do an easy one, shall we? Boom. Because, look, I know there's still some discussion. For some reason, people think there's a debate to be had about whether climate change is real or not. And it's really annoying because those of us who think it is point to an increased frequency of extreme weather events. And those people who think it's not point at the individual weather events and go, well, it's just weather. We've always had weather. And there's no end of that. That debate can go on forever and it will never end. Eventually, the only way it will end is when some news network crosses over to a pundit to have their say on local flooding, and it goes like this. Quick side point on this as well. I love what's happening in America, that the west of it just seems to get lots of flooding and the east is far too dry. Is that the which way around? No, east is getting all the...
It's the wrong way around.
East is getting all the water, west is getting way too dry. So all you need to do is just tip it. I mean, I don't know why they've not thought of this. Just make one side a little bit higher and then solved it. God, we solve problems left, right and centre on this. But anyway... That's not the bigger problem. The bigger problem is, how do you raise awareness of the issues of climate change? Do you cause problems on the roads? Because this week we saw that the M25 had some junctions blocked by the Insulate Britain campaigners. And I understand why it was difficult for some of the people in the cars, because Insulate Britain seems like it might be a very different campaign.
Was this Insulate Britain? Was in protect it and stop things getting in? What, strengthen our borders? Yes, and it's climate change. You're trying to save the planet. Fuck off.
So I can understand why people were upset. Look, I started off, my opinion on this was, if you're on the M25, you've already had a bad enough day. So do you need this as well? But then I started to look at some of the details of what the protest was. There was some clips that were filmed and put on a website. We've got a few of them here. Let's go through what happened. You see the start of the protest, a whistle, and it just looks like a protest that could be fixed by one lollipop lady. Do you know what I mean? If she just turned up and just moved them on, that'd be it, over and done with. It didn't look like the most threatening. I mean, that whistle was not at all scary. And then this happened. Get ready for the most British thing at a protest. Not down with capitalism, not end poverty. Oh, so sorry to hold you up. Sorry to hold you up. I do apologise. So sorry about this. But what were the driver's response? This is pretty sweet. Watch out for the guy at the back. Now we're being held up and just go around. Whee! a bit of petrol going up there. So the drivers were really upset about this. This was Insulate Britain, who want to insulate the houses, and the drivers got upset, so much so that we saw some of the drivers, the furious drivers, dragged the climate change protesters off the road. I haven't seen a news story about someone being pulled off by the side of the road since the Gillian Tailforth scandal. Now, that reference is so old. This afternoon I thought I'll look up to see how old that reference is, to see what kind of cutting-edge topical comedy we're bringing to the internet. And that was in 1994, where EastEnders actress Gillian Tailforth was involved in that court case where they claimed she performed a sex act on a slip road just off the A1. I didn't remember that apparently it was an attack of acute appendicitis, and she was massaging his abdomen. The police officer thought she was performing fellatio. Either way, it'd take his mind off the pancreatitis. Just let him carry on. What's wrong with people? So anyway, moving away from the dated references. What are the goals of Insulate Britain? Let's have a look. According to their website, they want the government to promise to fully fund and take responsibility for the insulation of social housing. Yeah, sounds pretty cool. Not quite sure why I'd need to be held up in traffic because, yeah, I'm on board. I agree. It seems such a stretch. Like when Extinction Rebellion are doing it, demanding that it's called a crisis or a catastrophe. It's a K word. I know they're after that. But at least it seems like it's desperate. Like, this must be done. Whereas the advice of doing more insulation is just the kind of advice you get from your dad. It seems like wholesome advice, and yet somehow it's linked with civil disobedience. I'm not quite sure why those two things are linked up. And to find out more, I'm joined now by a protester. Hello.
Hello, Steve.
So are you in Insulate Britain?
No, I'm a member of Barn Door. We're a protest group that tries to get people to remember to close the door as they go in or out of a room, not to let all the heat out. And if they don't, we will blockade Folkestone.
Right, it's not going to get people on your side, though, is it?
Well, we're an offshoot of the group Switch, and they're campaigning to get people to turn the lights off when they're no longer in a room, so they don't use extra electricity. And if people don't do that, they will burn down all the zoos.
Well, that's just going to cause more carbon. It's not going to get people on
this
your
is
side.
what we're doing. We're all linked to the main group, Climate 180. And what they're asking is for people to turn their tomato ketchup bottles round by 180 degrees just for a little bit before you throw them away. Just cut down on waste. And if people don't do that, they will bomb Luton Airport.
That's not going to get people... Oh, Luton. No, that will get people on your side. All right, yeah, cheers for that. Are you still with us, Eric? For a while there, you seem to disappear right in the middle of the sketch. That was some oddly... I'll edit the sound out. Let's not worry about it. So... The protesters, did they help solve climate change? Maybe. Not as much as this. In Germany, scientists have potty-trained cows to save the planet. Thank God German scientists are still doing what they love to do. They've managed to do a breakthrough that no one else would have thought of. They've trained cows to be potty-trained. How do you potty-train a cow? Really big potty, I'm guessing that much. But it turns out it's not that difficult. In fact, they're better at it than young humans, which is kind of terrifying, and I feel a bit crappy about being a human. But also the idea that in the future, humans and cows can use toilets means like the chemical loos at Glastonbury are just going to be an absolute state. You queue up for a while, the plastic door opens and it comes out. Oh, God, I think I'll give that 15 minutes. Truth, what's he been eating? But it's really good that we can have potty-trained cattle. The problem is if they just like dump everywhere and wee everywhere, it causes chemicals, and ammonia is one of them, ammonia. And if you can train them to do it in one area, there's less waste. Brilliant. Well, let's find out more. And to do that, I'm joined by a cow. Hello.
Yeah, hello, Steve.
So you're potty-trained?
Yeah, I did the potty training, which was difficult at first. I wasn't aiming my feces down towards the potty. I was spraying it upwards onto myself.
Oh, and did you get told off for that?
No, if anything, I received the pat on the back.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. It's the pun we needed. It's the pun we all needed. We are back up to date with... I think I've just solved something there. I don't know what, but we solved a few problems.
But no singing.
And that's probably the biggest problem we solved. No singing, just me and a German cow.
I'm not even going to say what comes into my mind when you say that.
How could you expect anything else? Right.
I mean, it's a nice looking cow.
It was, yeah.
I mean, I would.
Let's have a look at some of the comments. Can you all stop encouraging Steve with song ideas, says Charlotte. It's too late. They're in the chat. I'll copy it and do them for next week. So look. And Moist Method says, Chris, because of being underwater. I hope that was the bit that you were talking about. And then Oral Method. Which one was that one? Not sure. Was there an oral?
That could be one I dropped out.
Yeah. What? That was weird.
I don't know.
Was it just some... Yeah.
I had lost all internet on all devices.
You're flipping internet, mate. It's a nightmare.
Just
Stephen Leatherdale says, how did anyone notice that the M25 was blocked? Isn't it always? Exactly. You're in a queue. There's only like 3 people at the front of it who have any idea that it's a protest, and they can all see the sign that goes, "Oh, I do apologise. Terribly sorry."
And she sat down.
Holding
she
up.
She could have held it up for the other cars or like walked along.
Yeah.
But is it easy for you to go back to the very first clip where they walked out with the whistle?
Yeah,
that
definitely.
moment.
Start. In fact, it's called Protest Start, so it's easy to find.
Yeah.
Here we are.
This moment where they walk out, right? And if you're in that car there, the white car, because you've stopped because it's red, and then you see these bastards come out, and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. I mean, it's one thing when you miss the light when you're in a hurry, but then you miss the light, and then they run out. As you said, the Lollipop Brigade. How pissed off must that first person be?
And by the
10
look of
seconds
it,
off.
If we go again, it looks like it might be like a hybrid. It's got that kind of... Look at it. It looks like it's a Yaris hybrid or something.
Yeah.
That guy is saving the planet more than everyone else on that road. Imagine if you're driving a hybrid thinking, yeah, I've already insulated my loft. Let me through.
I mean, if you're driving a hybrid and they're climate protesters, I think you can run them over, and you can't be done for that.
It's legal. That's the law.
It's not. We're not endorsing that. Please don't take us down off the YouTube.
The Loving the Gillian Tailforth reference says, Jack, she was relieving his pancreatitis, if I remember correctly. I've been calling it exactly that ever since. Beautiful. And
that's before what's-her-name took a dump during that race and stuff, isn't it?
Paula Radcliffe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my references have not been that updated in so long.
You used to have a joke about Paula Radcliffe, didn't you? Try to remember now.
I wrote a blog post that got loads of complaints.
Back when blogs were a thing.
Yeah, and I did this whole thing about how, like, if I get drunk and wee everywhere, I get arrested. But if she does that in the middle of a marathon, it's ridiculous. And someone went, "You don't know how hard it is to run a marathon. You just like it's your job's easy." Well, yeah, I've never had to take a dump in the middle of a 20-minute headlining set, but it still doesn't make it right. I don't understand.
You haven't had to watch you do a 20-minute set.
Just run out of material. Might have to. How am I going to pad this out for another 6? I don't got a newspaper. Doing topical material? No. Shade says, did they learn nothing from the recent James Corden intersection musical in LA that stopped the traffic? That was no bueno, apparently. Yeah, it's just training us to put your foot down, isn't it? Chris says, I had a bout of pancreatitis once, and that's why I'm banned from Tesco. I've actually got that somewhere. I think, bada-boo.
There we go.
I love the fact
that
on Wikipedia it calls it acute pancreatitis, which is just it's more of a compliment, isn't it? So,
that's what that means.
Yeah, acute pancreatitis. With the potty training, says Mark, how long before they get it off pat? Nice. No singing, says Chris Hood. Britt says, not impressed that the cow has better hair than me. Tell me about it, Britt. That was my eyes, but better hair. Broke my heart. My partner helped me.
Those were your eyes?
They were my eyes, yeah.
It's creepy. They were creepy. They're all big and bulgy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I am.
All right.
Just got a big and bulgy face that goes with it. But when you superimpose it
on a cow.
Mark says, my partner helped me relieve my pancreatitis once. And that's why I'm banned from Tesco. And you're so lucky, says Alan. Stephen says, I relieved someone's pancreatitis once, and that's why I'm banned from Tesco. No one's going to be shopping in Tesco at this rate. No wonder. It's the only shop that doesn't have empty shelves. We've all been banned.
Yeah. Nothing flagged from YouTube for sponsorship.
Yeah. Nothing says I'm saving the planet like idling a vehicle stopped by protesters. Nice. But it was probably a hybrid. Keep the comments coming in the comment section of the YouTube. There's the link if you'd like to be all donating about it to keep this project afloat. And Mr. Erich McElroy, I think it's time to take another look at your, what's your next story?
Let's see. Let's make sure I'm in the right spot this time for, that's a problem that we seem to have, especially that because we got disconnected, I'm just going to click on it really quick to make sure that I'm actually connected still. And I am. So there we go. Right. Well, this is the problem with, I'm not in the right space because of my disconnection. There's many problems that we have. One of them is my broadband connection, but this is the problem with progress. Or you might say progress. Yeah. I think. Do you say progress? Progress.
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 I say progress properly. I say that proper one.
Progress. Yeah. Okay. We're on the same page. As humans, we don't actually generally like change. And that's always the issue with being a NIMBY. Do you know what a NIMBY is? Not in my backyard, of course. It's also, I don't want to say what that was. It's something Mom used to tell me to scare me. But it's not just things you don't want to say in the bedroom. Like as in not in my backyard. That's not what Mom used to say. But this is about guarding against things that, would destroy our history. Maybe tacky buildings, tearing something down that we care about. Sometimes, what can be called one person's NIMBYism is one person's trying to save something that could be historic. So this story caught my eye, and it's about, in West Hampstead, some homes that have been proposed to be built, and some people aren't happy about it. Now, of course, this is a democracy. People come forward, and they have a right to speak at the council. And normally, council meetings, my God, the dullest thing on earth. Right? So boring. These are people that are going to get together and talk about housing plans. There's never going to be anything exciting that happens at one of these things, of course. And actually, I don't even know why I'm covering this story because it's totally boring, as you can see here. Oh, it's actually contains something that might be offensive and not appropriate for most viewers, which is not what you typically think that you're going to see at a council meeting. But this one was different.
So thank you very much. That has been granted then. Thank you very much, everybody.
You're turning London into a hellhole.
A shithole.
That's right. Get your popcorn, kids. This is not your typical council meeting. Now, I don't know what you're expecting here, but if you're expecting maybe to see a little bit of action, get ready.
Attack! You! I won't stop campaigning against you, bastard!
You will be sacked by the public.
You haven't even been there. You don't know how horrible it looks. It looks 10 times worse in real.
I just love this so much for a couple of reasons. One, they're shouting so much that it breaks the mics, much like I did when I shouted Wolverines in a previous episode of this show. Also, because it's not just one Karen that's turned up for this council meeting. It's two Karens who've turned up for this council meeting. And if you're not familiar with Karens, they're American women who are generally white, who are overly privileged. It's nice to see that British people can do it as well. I think. I just have to watch these women, and I would imagine that they're not vaccinated either, because I'm sure they don't trust Big Pharma. Just get that feeling. I'm sure they're taking some homeopathic medicine, but I shouldn't judge, right? Without exaggerating. What does this new housing project look like that they're protesting against?
You are standing with... I don't think it looks like a fucking prison when you see it.
Wow, not just a prison, a fucking prison, which is the worst kind.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Although, based on the way that these two women are behaving, I would imagine they're going to find out what prison looks like quite soon. But they didn't just come with problems, Steve. They came with solutions.
I hope Al-Qaeda bombs the fucking ugly thing.
That's a good plan. It's very subtle. It's a strategy that can be there, helping Al-Qaeda pick its next bombing target based on which developments you don't like in your neighborhood. It's one way to make terrorism a good thing. Perhaps. I don't know. I'm sure the counselor's taking notes. But the thing is, I really just want to hear how they feel about this. What's her final argument and case?
It's getting uglier every tonight knowing that you destroyed, and you are destroying a beautiful town. How dare you!
Does she realize that this is part of Camden? Has she been to Camden? I mean, it's not like we're talking about something fancy. It's not like Luton or Croydon, someplace nice. But at least she leaves with her dignity. She broke the sound, broke the furniture, and nearly broke her crutch, it looks like.
Why don't you calm down? What a great thing.
Now, I know you're all thinking, clearly, these two women were very agitated. They're very upset. They've got a lot to be upset about. Do you want to see the building project that they were upset about?
Yes.
What it's going to look like. Are you ready for this? I mean, this is where we need to put up that flag again about it being sensitive content. So prepare yourselves. This is it. There it is. Pretty disturbing. It's pointy. There's a tree without leaves. How's that make you feel?
I mean, I don't think you can't blame the house for the tree being coppiced or pollarded.
No, you can't.
What you
the
think?
Bicyclist?
You think that what happened there was that was a full tree, and then it saw the house and was like, "Grey," and all the leaves dropped off.
It doesn't look like a prison. I mean, if that's a prison, sign me up. Some nice windows there.
No bars on them as well. Shit prison.
Shit prison. But I don't know if that's before or after Al Qaeda bombed it. Not sure.
Beautiful work.
Gotta love democracy.
Yeah.
That's why.
They didn't seem at all entitled. It's bizarre, isn't it?
Not at all. That's a rational argument. I'm sure that the council will consider their position and really take that on board.
They don't like it, so it shouldn't happen. Wow.
Yep. So let's see what the people in the comments think, if that was a reasonable building or expense. Britt says, going back to some earlier chat, I think Tesco can see a spike in the sale of chronic pancreatitis meds. Perhaps.
Yeah, mine's playing up.
Mark said, do you mean rubber gloves? Do you need rubber gloves for pancreatic massage?
Well,
not if you're doing it right.
Yeah. Depends which way you're going in.
Mark says, it's like watching the American mask mandate board meetings. Yep, only much less demented. No, I don't think that's true. I think they're both pretty demented.
Yeah.
Although they're bringing less of the Lord into this one, so that's fair.
And fewer guns.
Yeah. Chris says, big farmer. Back to the cows again. See what's done there. I said pharma.
That's good.
I said pharma. Mark says, let's look at the yellow pages for Al Qaeda demolition experts.
He'll be near the front of it.
The family was in construction.
Oh.
The Osama bin Laden family. Charlotte said, whoa, she's scary. She's gonna beat everyone with her crutch. Which I don't know if we're allowed to mention.
Only reason she brought it, because she seemed to be able to stand up perfectly fine without it. It was just a weapon.
It was just a crutch.
Yeah.
Literally. Mark says, maybe if they added massive Union Jacks from the tops of the tree roofs, they would have loved it. No, I have a feeling these women are far too progressive to like that. I mean, it's hard to know. They just feel like definitely vegans.
I was with you on the crystals. I'm not sure whether about the vegans.
Nah, it's definitely vegans. Yeah. So there we go. Insanity reigns supreme in all of the West, and that makes me happy.
God. Well, I mean, I'm not sure if we solved a problem there, but, oh, by the way, there's that link in case you require a little bit of that action. I got another story which, to be fair, I don't think I'm going to successfully solve much of a problem here, because I aimed high. I was trying to save a category of humanity. I was going to save some people. And save the lives. I'm going to save the lives. And not the young ones, because you think that might be the thing that's in the news today, because the 12 to 15-year-olds could be they're now being offered COVID vaccines, which I spent this morning arguing on talk radio about that, because it's just an offer and they can say no to it. It's not being forced. It's not as if, like, the only big worry is that a 12-year-old thinks if they get the vaccine, they'll have the passport to get to a nightclub. But as long as they know that's not what's happening, if you want it, have it. If you don't, don't. But that doesn't produce enough anger to populate a lot of media.
Yeah.
But I do think there is a concern that these 12 to 15-year-olds are going to be offered a vaccine, probably via a letter, which means someone's going to have to explain to them what a letter is. It's going to be an awkward conversation that goes like this. Oh, this. No, I know normally it has a pizza menu printed on it, but this, no, you've got a letter. It's how we used to communicate in the old days. It's like an email that's been printed out. What's that? What's an email? God, I'm old. It's like a long text message. Yep, I meant to say WhatsApp. Christ. So that's what we're up against. So look, that will sort itself out. The young people having the vaccine, it's not a problem if they do, but it's not important if they do either, I think, to be brutally honest. It's the bigger concern is a different age group that has problems with falling. So I did do a bit of research to see who suffers falls. And according to one thing that's in the news, Jason Derulo suffers a lot of falls because at the Met Gala, there's this meme of Jason Derulo falling, and Newsweek. So this all happens in America, yeah? And it's the idea of Jason Derulo being in a meme is listed under the category of culture. So enjoy that piece of information. But there's a meme every single time there's an award ceremony. There's a picture of Jason Derulo falling down the stairs, and it turns out he's not actually Jason Derulo, and it was Cannes Film Festival in 2011. So that's the end of that. It's not even the most important thing that we could have pulled up from the Met Gala, which I don't really understand what it is. It seems like a fancy dress thing because people turn up dressed weirdly. Like, for example, this photo of Kim Petras. Don't even know which one it is because I don't know who that is. But I like that outfit, to be fair. I like the outfits. This is the kind of outfit you could walk into a pub and the barman would say, "Why the long face?" And you'd be like, "Yeah, nice." There's also this picture of Grimes, and the way that the hair has been turned into some sort of a head antenna, and there's a thing on the ears to make it look more like Spock, and a mask like Battlestar Galactica. She's made herself look like an alien. I thought, why would you do that? And I realised she's the other half of Elon Musk. It's the only way to turn him on these days. Only way to keep him interested. Dress up you like from space. He's obsessed. There was AOC was there with a dress that says "Tax the Rick." I'm not sure who Rick is, but dude's going to be paying some tax. There's a bad move. Whoopi Goldberg was there, dressed as the purple one from Quality Street. I think that's a nice vibe. That's good. Yeah. She wouldn't have fallen down in that. Cara Delevingne, model, was there in an interesting outfit that had some sort of a message to it. Peg the patriarchy. I'm not sure that it's going to make the patriarchy stop. Not tried it myself, but the attention would be nice. Cara, let me offer you a job, but only pay you 16% less than what I'd pay a man. What are you going to do about it? Kim Kardashian was there. Was she though? Everyone says that's Kim Kardashian. Prove it. Come at me. Like, if you had a lookalike, it wasn't a good lookalike. That is the perfect solution. I know you're meant to wear a mask, but good lordy. As I did describe earlier on Twitter, saying that looks like Noob Saibot now looks sexy. That's a Mortal Kombat joke that not everyone's going to get, and I'm fine with that. Someone wasn't there, by the way. If you were expecting a sexy picture of Nicki Minaj, no, because she said she didn't attend the Met Gala because of the COVID vaccination requirements. She's not had her doses. And why is that? Well, according to the same article, she said, it'll be once I feel I've done enough research. How's the lab work going? You doing some trials? The research kicking in? I guess you're a good research scientist. I guess she is. There's a picture of her attempting to wear a lab coat. So the research comes. What kind of research has Nicki Minaj been doing about vaccines? Sadly, there is an answer to that question. Her cousin in Trinidad won't get the vaccine because his friend got it and became impotent, and his testicles became swollen. His friend was weeks away from getting married, and now the girl called off the wedding. I understand why she would. It's like there's 5 of them in that relationship, and that's 2 more than Princess Diana had to deal with. So just pray on it and make sure you're comfortable with your decision and not bullied. Nicki, don't go telling people that the injection gives you huge testicles. It's the one thing that will make 12-year-olds want to get the shot. It seems like a risk. But clearly, you could argue that this is the kind of misinformation that shouldn't be spread. And I tell you who did step up to the plate. At the briefing earlier, Professor Chris Whitty brought some shade, saying that COVID myth spreaders like Nicki Minaj should be ashamed. Boom. She pushed back against that with... She said, I love him, even though I guess this was a diss. The accent, oh, yes, boo. And I didn't realise that Professor Chris Whitty and Nicki Minaj flirting was what I needed in my life. But I kind of do. I think they should be the couple that gets together. They can do that thing like they do with celebrity couples where they mash up the name. Like Whitty and Minaj would just be called Whittards or something like that. I like it already. There might be a copyright issue. Then Boris said he didn't really know who she was and disagreed with what she'd said. Then she did a voice tweet back to Boris Johnson. This gets weirder than I'm normally doing, and I do weird stuff on this show. So here are some clips from Nicki Minaj's pushback via a voice tweet to comments that our Prime Minister Boris Johnson made at a Downing Street briefing about one of her tweets. She said,
Yes, hello, Prime Minister Boris. It's Nicki Minaj.
I mean, that attempt at an accent is a hate crime.
That's about right to me. Is she not British?
That's worse than when you try.
On, governor.
So do your, when you say the word British in the British accent.
British.
Exactly. Have a listen to what she says.
I'm actually British. I went to school with Margaret Thatcher. And she told me so many nice things about you.
I mean, she did go senile at the end, so she might have said nice things about Boris Johnson. I'm not sure your timeline works out, but
she stole my British.
Oh God, it's painful to the ear. And then Nicki Minaj, that she finishes the voice tweet thing by saying this:
I'd love to send you my portfolio of my work, since you don't know much about me. I'm a big star in the United States.
And I'm just getting word of the latest update on this story, and she is now pregnant with his child. That's the latest. And the bizarre thing about all that we've covered through this story is that we still haven't talked about the one group that I wanted to save, which was old people should be taught judo so they don't fall over and kill themselves. But we're out of time. I had all of this stuff prepared about how they used to be inflating pants, and you know the only downside about this is the fact maybe they'll do too much judo and then you just get old people shouting parkour and just rolling around all over the place. It doesn't matter. We don't have time. We seem to somehow cover more interesting stuff, but not solved any problems.
No, the vaccine could save them, because, or at least the men, because if the vaccine inflated their balls enough, that would give them the ballast to not fall over.
Lower the center of gravity. Although I think when you're a bloke and you're that age, your balls are lowering your center of gravity quite a bit. Your
but they
geometric
shrivel.
mean.
They shrivel.
Oh yeah.
I'm a little older than you, Steve. It's like.
Got that to look forward to, have I? Nice.
It's a deflated balloon.
Is there a day when you hear it go?
It's more of a.
Right. Some of the comments. Let's have a look.
It's like the kettle.
That's a clip for the internet. I'm sure they'll love. Where do we get to? Oprah equals Brazil nut rapper. Was that the Whoopi Goldberg picture? Did I show a picture of Oprah? I don't think I did. Lady to her left is a toilet roll cover. Yes, that's what my granny used to have on the toilet roll. As if somehow the toilet roll would be tainted by a little bit of dust before you wipe it on shit. Chris says, "Are you stealing Larry's job, Steve?" Someone's got to review the entertainment news, and Larry's been busy this week for some reason. Stephen says, my kids used to love Peg the Patriarchy on CBeebies. Oh, but we should, if we had the budget to pay for animators, Peg the Patriarchy would be a great little skit.
Apparently Tucker Carlson, the Fox News host, covered the whole pegging issue, and I don't think he knew what it was, but I would imagine he'd be really into it.
I can't remember what the joke was that I did on Time FM, where somehow I implied pegging, and then just before the news said, when I was growing up, that's what you used to do to the washing, or something like that. Nicki Minaj was showing off her Minaj's. Don't know which bar. One of the pictures was probably what she was showing off. Did his testicles see her buttocks and get jealous? Says Mark.
Don't know if we can say that.
Alan says, didn't need the vaccine to make my testicles disappear. Impotent, yay. Well, that's saves some. At least you're not risking any blood clots.
Yeah.
Jack goes with, so I reckoned Witty and Minaj, Wittage. And then Jack gives us the options of Najiti and Shikri. They're going to split up before we get around to their names. My God, says Mark, that's not Nicki Minaj, that's Priti Patel. No, definitely it wasn't. I checked into it. Chris says the PVC... It's not... Stop it. She's wearing a lab coat. That was the joke in that picture. Nicki and Witty and Boris Johnson equals menage a trois, says Jack.
Boom.
Proper joke. Look at that.
Nice.
Britt says, having worked at a falls clinic, Granny and Grandpappy judo method would be amazing. That was going to be the bit that I'd written. And actually, to plug other stuff, that's the newspaper column that's in like the Hucknall Dispatch and the Swindon Advertiser. I'll put it on social media. It's one of those inventions where as soon as someone says it to you, you just think, God, why have we not been doing this all along? Like, we've had judo, or at least its roots in jiu-jitsu, for centuries. We've had old people for quite a while as well. How comes no one put those together thinking, yeah, that would be great? Because you get to a certain age where falling over is the biggest risk to your life, which actually means either you teach them judo or that army crawl. Either would work.
Good.
Either would work. But we didn't get time to do all that stuff.
No.
Nicki Minaj was just blowing my mind.
You know why? Because big mobile scooter industry, those little, when you go down to Eastbourne, all the old people are on their little mobility scooters.
Yeah.
Big mobile scooter. They control everything.
But just about control. They can't corner. They control everything, but not very well. And are we up to date? I think we're up to date. OAP judo at the Olympics, says Martin. Yep. I'd watch that. Absolutely brilliant. Probably shouldn't. So I think, there's the link for YouTube. Get that stored in your favourites and ready to watch. We're on every week on Tuesday. Spread the link and drop some money in the Ko-fi pot to keep this project afloat.
Definitely. There's links that get popped up all the time. And as the rest of the week goes on, is there anything you're doing, Steve?
Yeah, actually, because someone's off, I'm covering breakfast on Time FM tomorrow. So that's nice. Normally you don't get any radio from me on a Wednesday. And then we're filming the third episode of Late Night MASH. The second episode was everyone's favourite. So I'm already not looking forward to tomorrow because there's no way it's going to be, it's going to be that difficult third album. So
yep. Be good. And gigs this weekend. You can see the Steve live anywhere?
Yeah. I just need to look
at my diary. I'm at the King's Head in Crouch End this Thursday, hosting their new act night, which is always fun because they always have somebody on who's just a little bit insane. And it won't be me this time. And on Friday, I'm at Crack Comedy in Kingston upon Thames. So if you want to check it out, that should be fun. And where am I? Oh, and Saturday, I'm in Hampton at a new gig called the Hampton Hub with Zoe Lyons, who's absolutely amazing. So, definitely come to that.
Brilliant. Friday and Saturday night for me, I'm at the Comedy Carnival. I think it's either the Leicester Square or the Covent Garden one. The website will tell you. And then on Sunday, I'm on BBC Three Counties Radio doing the little handful of shows I'm doing there that are kind of like weird little wrap-ups of the news, getting away with doing some weird stuff on radio. As if I'd ever do that.
Can't imagine seeing you do topical comedy. I just never see that working.
Yeah. Well, it's worth a shot, isn't it?
Yeah, someday. Someday it might work out for you.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I've tried for a long while and it's managed to not work out for me yet.
That's true. Yeah. So there we go.
One thing, I did a gig. I think we've both been doing gigs where we've not seen people for ages. And there are loads of people that we started with. And there was a bit where I was watching someone. I haven't seen this person do comedy for ages, but I remember we started around the same time. And I was watching them on stage. I remember thinking, oof, they've got old. It's got to be the same, isn't it? It's got to be the same for me. What a depressing thought.
That's not us.
Yeah.
Look, because that's the nice thing about doing it here. We got a filter. There's a thing.
I just throw lots of light on me to try and get rid of the wrinkles.
Yeah, just make yourself look like a cow.
Yeah, that's not a shiny nose though. I think there's something about the way that the light processes it. I've tried to put powder on it, don't work.
If it was red, it'd be Rudolph. Let's do that for Christmas.
It's the only light I've got in this room is my nose, and yet somehow it still works.
We did have floating facial hair at one point in one of the prior episodes.
Yeah, it was possible to drag my beard around and then drag the remnants of your hair around. We had all the mod cons. We've still got this mod con. Whoop-ah!
Wow. So there you go. If you want to check that out, we've got all of the prior shows are up. Yeah. All incredible to watch. So we've got 6 seasons of comic solving problems you can go back through.
Jesus.
It's been a long lockdown. Right. So otherwise, we will be back next Tuesday with whatever's in the news. And thank you very much for watching. Thanks for those of you who did contribute through Ko-fi. We definitely appreciate your support. It keeps us going.
Yeah. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching this from Comic Solving Problems.
And if you feel like it, go ahead and like the video.
Or subscribe. Commitment.